Good morning, everybody. I want to welcome you to my Facebook Live. This is Debbie Foster, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Bismarck, Arkansas. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my iPad so I can watch the comments. Be sure to comment when you come on. Looking for me yet and haven't found me. Here I am. Okay. Alright, and I got a little delay on my iPad, so be sure you comment and say hello when you come on. I'm going to be doing 3 cards today, and we're going to be doing the baby wipe technique. If you haven't done that before, be sure you watch. It's really interesting and has a really cool effect. Let me see, anything I need to tell you before we get started? I think I covered everything. So let me go ahead and turn you back down here so we can get started. Don't want to. I need to turn around here. How do I do that? There we are. Facebook has changed some things on our devices, so it's kind of a learning curve again. Let me get some lighting. Let me see if I have to zoom in any, or if that's okay. I might zoom just a tiny bit. Well, looks crooked to me. Well, maybe turning it the wrong way, trying to get it adjusted here. I think that looks pretty good. We're just going to leave it as is. Be sure you comment when you come on. We've got a cloudy, dreary day this morning in Arkansas. We're supposed to get some storms coming in later this morning, so I'm hoping that they hold up and we don't lose power or anything while I'm doing my live. Okay, like I said, I'm creating cards with Debbie, and you can shop in my store at www.debbiefoster.stampinup.net. And here's the host code for the rest of October, which we don't have too many days left here. It is RAUXXPJG. So use that host code if your order is under $150. If it's over $150, I want you to get the rewards. So, oh, excuse me, I had to use my inhaler just a minute ago, so I'm kind of choking a little bit. If you need to email me with any questions, my email address is creatingwithdebbie179@gmail.com. And this is my blog address and how to sign up for Paper Pumpkin, which this is a Paper Pumpkin that's for November. And it's called Gifts Galore. Let me see if I can read this upside down. I should have printed out another one. It says, we all love to see, let me turn it a little bit. We all love to see piles of presents on Christmas morning. Make that your reality with the Gifts Galore Paper Pumpkin Kit with bright, festive colors, classic Christmas sentiments, a charming snowman, and more festive designs. You'll have everything you need to make eye-catching treat packages that are sure to spread Christmas cheer. There's plenty of joy to share with Gifts Galore. And this month's kit is called This Month's Jolly Kit. It includes enough supplies to create 9 oversized treat boxes with coordinating food-safe bags. It's an easy to make and even easier to enjoy Christmas project. Arrives in a special box, which it looks really cute. Comes with an exclusive stamp set and a flirty flamingo classic stampin' spot. So each month you receive everything that you need in your kit. The very first one that you sign up for, you'll get also an acrylic block. And so you'll have everything that you need. I've got some glue on there. All you'll have to probably supply would be just your scissors and maybe a liquid adhesive if you wanted to. So we're going to set that aside. And I think that's all the news we have this morning. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. We're going to be doing the baby wipe technique first. So I'm going to bring in my silicone mat. And I've got some baby wipes here. And no special brand of baby wipes is needed. Just whatever you purchase is fine. Alright, so I've got 2 here. I'm going to fold those into a square. So once, and then fold it again. And we're going to put that onto our silicone mat to keep our work surface dry, and just in case the ink soaks through. So, we've got Cookie over here snoring, taking her nap. I don't know if you could hear that on the camera or not. Okay, so we've got our re-inkers, and I'm using the Bermuda Bay and the Granny Apple Green. So we're just going to put some dots of ink all around on our baby wipes. And you're just going to put 1 drop and then kind of go around here. Make sure it's big enough to have full coverage on your stamp that you're using. I kind of hesitated there. I was trying to talk and do this at the same time. I guess I can't multitask very well. So we're going to do the Granny Apple Green. We're going to add those drops in between each one of these Bermuda Bay. And it will kind of soak up together, but that's okay. Just want to make sure that we fill it all in so it will cover the stamp. I keep trying to clear my throat this morning, so I apologize for that. Some days I'm good with my asthma, but today's one of those days, I guess. Okay, we're just about done here. I could have done this ahead of time, but I wanted you to be able to see what I'm doing without explaining it. A visual sometimes is best. Alright, so we're done with the Granny Apple Green. And this is the stamp that we're going to be using. I'm just checking for size. Yeah, that's good. Alright, we're done with the re-inkers. We're going to set those aside. Alright, let me show you the card that we're going to be making while I'm letting that do its thing. This is the card. It says thank you. And then all the things you do are simply amazing. It's on our inside sentiment. And the papers that we're using is from the Simply Elegant Designer Series paper. Let's see if my lighting's okay here. And we're using this design right here. It's the one that we're using. And these are pretty because one side is the foil and the other side is just a plain paper. So who doesn't like a little bit of bling going on? I think we all do. And here's the stamp set that we're using, which is the Elegantly Said. And this also comes as a bundle with the Elegant Tag Punch. And we're going to be using that today too. Okay, let me make a little room here. We need that. Get all of our bits and pieces out here. Oops, got my bow in there. So we're just using our thick basic white cardstock for our card base. And it's just our 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches and then scored in the middle at 5 1/2 inches. So we're going to burnish our edge of that. And let's see. Oh goodness. So we've got our black, basic black, which measures, what did I do with my instructions? Where did I put my instructions? Okay. Another sticky note. Alright, our basic black measures 4 1/8 inches by 5 3/8 inches, and that's going to be our mat that's going to go on the front of our card base. And then we've got basic white that's 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and we're going to stamp our flower on there to start with, and then we'll emboss it afterwards. So we're using our inks. We're just going to get a little bit on there, make sure we have good coverage, and we're just going to stamp it towards the top on the right side. I'm just going to let that sit there to soak into our paper a little bit. Okay, so that's the effect we get. It's kind of a two-tone. Very pretty. So we're done with that for a moment. We're going to use that for the sentiment too. So now we got to emboss this. I'm going to use my big boss. I'm going to just take it over to my machine instead of trying to carry it over here because it is kind of cumbersome. So I'll just go do that really quick. So hold on a moment. And this is one of our 3D embossing folders. So you need to use your base plate, which is a number 1. And then you put your folder in there with the hinge going into it first. And then we're going to use a number 4 plate, which is our 3D embossing plate. And we'll run that through our machine, our big boss. Okay. Alright, so there we have it. And I'm using I didn't say which folder I'm using the Tasteful Textile 3D embossing folder. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if it shows on the camera very well. It's real subtle. I guess it's picking it up a little bit. Alright, so then we're going to set our card base aside and we're going to add our strips. And these are 2 different sizes. I've got 13/16 by 5 1/4, and then I've got 11/16 by 5 1/4. And all these will be on my blog later today. Oops, that's the wrong one. Well, looks like I grabbed the wrong Oh, here they are over here. I got the wrong ones here. These are my extras. I was going to say they were too short. There we go. And I want to make sure I match them up because I cut them to have them go side by side, but yet to match up really good. And we're going to use our liquid glue, and I'm going to place a paper underneath my things here so I keep my work surface clean. I manage to get glue all over sometimes, so. And I do have a brand new bottle of glue today, so my other one, I was shaking it and trying to get it to come out, and I said that's enough of that. We're going to open a new one. Alright, we're going to leave a small border on the left side. Press that down. And we'll do the other one. I didn't do any Halloween cards today. I think I probably have done enough of them for a while. Okay, so there we have that finished area. And we're going to go ahead and start gluing to our card base. So we get the black mat first. I want to see if which way I'm going here. Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well. It's hard to believe that next week is November already. Okay, do I have that straight? Yeah. And be sure when you watch this that you hit the like button and the share button. And also, if you're watching it later today on YouTube, be sure that you hit that subscribe button. And that way you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And I think there's a like button on there also, so, and share. So, like and share. It helps our numbers here. Brings us new viewers, and Facebook and YouTube like that. Alright, so we're going to glue that to the front of our card now. And we're just leaving a small border going all the way around. Which is good with the liquid glue. You've got time to move it around if you need to. Just going to press on that so it gets a good seal. Alright. Okay, that's what it will look like. And now we're going to work on our tag. And here's our punch. And I've already done the white, so we're going to do the black. We're using just a scrap of basic black. And we're going to punch that out. Alright, we'll set that aside. We're done with that. Done with that. So we're going to go ahead and stamp our sentiment on our white tag. I'm just trying to figure out which side's which here. And we're going to stamp the sentiment, thank you. And I'm just going to use our black Memento ink to do that with. You could use any sentiment that you wanted with this. It doesn't necessarily need to be a thank you card. It could be anything, whatever you have. And stamp that right in the center. Put the lid back on the ink pad so I don't have an accident with it. And I'm going to take the black tag and I'm going to cut that in half, because we're going to attach that to the back of the white one. So I'm going to put a little glue on here. And I'm going to kind of center it, but I'm going to leave a little bit of a shadow sticking out from it. And, oops, it's moving on me. Let me see here a minute. Come here. Well, I got dropsies this morning. And it's not moving very well. And we're going to leave as is. And then we're going to do the same with the bottom portion of the tag. And the same with that. I'm just going to leave a little tiny border coming out, peeking out from the bottom of that. And we're going to come back in and trim off the excess here. Which there's not too much, it's just a little bit I got to trim. Okay, that looks good. And we're going to put that up on dimensionals. And let me get some little ones here, and I'm going to put at the top of my tag. Just to support it a little bit. I've got things falling down here. Alright, so we're going to take off our backings with our Take Your Pick tool. It's quiet this morning. And we're going to place our tag just over our flower a little bit. And move it over here. Alright. And then I've got my Gilded Gems. We're going to use those on our front of our card. Take your pick tool to pop those off of there, slide them off. And I think I'm going to use the larger ones. I'm going to put one there. And, oops, let go there. Alright. I'm just going to put two because I'm going to consider my bow as an embellishment. So I like to do things in odd numbers. And here's the bow, and bring out our mini glue dots. With the bow, I made the bow using our open weave soft succulent ribbon, and then I added the gold trim, which is Simply Elegant trim, which is in that same suite as the Elegantly Said that we just looked at. And you can find all that on page 69. It has the designer series paper and then trim and everything in there that you might need. And like I said, I tied a bow and I tied it using the trim. I just kind of laid it on top of the ribbon as I tied it to get this effect. So we're going to use our mini glue dots to put that down. And I'm going to use my Take Your Pick tool to pop one of those off of there. And I'm wondering if I should use two. Maybe a little extra won't hurt. And we're just going to place our bow down on top of our glue dots there. And get that tucked underneath there. It's want it to stick out on me. Get underneath there. Okay. So here's the front of our card. Now we need to do the inside. So we're going to stamp our sentiment on the inside, which says, "All the things you do are simply amazing." And we're going to bring back in our baby wipe ink, and we're going to just ink up our sentiment on there really good. I'm hoping I get a good coverage there. Oh yeah, that's good. I always like to have scrap paper laying there so I can stamp off on it first to make sure it's inked up really good. So we're going to stamp that in the center. And I'm going to let that sit there for a moment too. Make sure it soaks the ink into it. There. Alright, now we're done with that now. So I have a strip of the Designer Series paper that we're going to put along the bottom side. And this measures, I think it was a 1/2 inch. No, I didn't measure it. Let me bring my ruler over here. 3/4 inch by 4 inches. I always leave mine a little longer. I like to trim it off afterwards. I'd rather be too long than not long enough. So we're going to add our glue. And then we'll attach that to the inside of our card and come back and trim it off. And I'm just leaving a small border at the bottom edge. And I think that's straight. And then we'll just turn that over and trim it off. Okay. Alright, so here's the outside of our card. Thank you. And then all the things you do are simply amazing. Inside. Getting a little bit of glare, I guess, with that foil, with my lights. Alright, so there's our first card. And let me move things aside here to make some room. And we'll go on to our next card. Done with those. Okay. I'm using the same. Bring our stamps over here. Get rid of my inky paper. Okay, so here's our next card. And this is kind of a sympathy card kind of thing, or even if somebody's just having a bad day. It says, I know this is a difficult day. My thoughts are with you. The video interrupted. Okay, that's not good. Hope you're all still seeing me. I'm going to wait a moment to make sure it comes back. Come on, Facebook, you can do it. There we are. Okay. Phew, had me worried. Okay, so it says, I know this is a difficult day. My thoughts are with you. And this is using our Blackberry Beauty paper, which one side is foil again and the other side is just plain. And we're going to be using, let me see, we're using this paper, and this paper, which this is the back side. Those are two-sided. So those are the papers that we're using. The stamp set is Beauty of Tomorrow. There's a card up there so you can see what I'm doing. And this coordinates with dies, but we're not using the dies today, which are the Beautiful Leaves dies. Instead, we're going to be using the Stitch So Sweetly dies, one of the labels out of there. So I'll set that aside. We'll bring out our bits and pieces here. Okay, and we're starting out with just our basic white, heavy or thick cardstock, and this measures 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches, and then scored at 5 1/2 inches. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to burnish that. And then we have our designer's series paper, this one, which measures, oops, where's my instructions at? Looking at the wrong instructions. Okay. This is the top portion, the DSP, which is 4 1/4 inches by 4 inches long. So it's 4 1/4 inches wide, which is the width of our card. And we're just going to glue that to the top portion of our card. And this is really pretty on the other side too. It's always hard to decide which side of the paper I want to use. Usually both sides I like. Okay, so we're going to glue that down to the top of our card base. And it's going to go edge to edge on the 3 sides. So I think I've got that centered right. And then next, we've got a rich raspberry, which is going to be our matting. And that is 3 3/4 inches by 4 3/4 inches. So that's going to go just like that. But first we're going to glue our other papers to the front of that. So we've got the owl paper, which is 3 1/2 by 3 1/2 inches. And we're going to just glue that to the top portion of our rich raspberry mat. And make sure our owls are going the right direction. I wonder if I didn't cut this mat a little bit too big. Let me get my ruler back in here. It looks awful wide. 4 inches. I did. It should be 3 3/4 inches. Let me. Well, I think I better just cut this down. There is my little cutter at. It's supposed to be 3 3/4 inches. Instead, I cut it at 4. So I'm just going to trim a little bit off each side. And it should be right there. Okay. Alright. Alright, that's better. Like they say, measure twice, cut once. I guess I should have done that with that and it would have been okay. Alright, so we've got our designer series paper, the owls, glued down to the top portion. And now we have the back side of that, which is this design, which measures 1 1/2 inches by 3 1/2 inches. And that's just going to go at the bottom edge of our card front. So we're going to put some glue on there. And position that at the bottom, leaving a border at the bottom and the 2 sides. Alright, so we got that. And now we're going to come back in with our ribbon, which is the fine art ribbon. And this is, it's kind of a goldish beige. It's got a little bit of glittering in it. So what I'm going to do is leave a little extra here because we're going to do a faux bow, which is just kind of wrapping it around your finger and then just tying it in a knot, and hopefully I got this long enough to fit. And get my finger back in there so we can tie that knot. This ain't long enough. I gotta do another one. Well, what I might do is just tie this down and then come back in and do a knot over it. So we're going to just use some Scotch tape to attach it to the back. Be sure you say hello when you come on. We're on our second card here, so if you missed the first one, you can go back and watch the replay. I did the baby wipe technique on the first card. Alright, and our Scotch tape here. Attach that to the back side. And I think I'm going to try to salvage this. Well, I'm just going to take off a little one. And I'm thinking I can slide this up underneath there, yeah. And we'll just tie a bow on there. A faux bow. Which is just another strip that's tied on top of the original. And with this ribbon, it does ravel, but I like that effect. It's kind of pretty. Let me trim that off. Okay, just like this. You can kind of see it. You can kind of ravel it a little bit more. So we're going to glue that down to the front of our card front using our liquid glue again. Alright, and then we're going to just center that on the front, which I'm going to bring it down just a tiny bit and move that over a bit. Okay. And we're going to be using the Gilded Gems again. I have some here already. Use our Take Your Pick tool, and we're going to place 3 on the front of our card. Whoops, I'm getting ahead of myself here. We've got to do the sentiment first. Alright, let's do that, and that's just stamped with our Memento Black. I was getting distracted here for a minute. We had a lot of vehicles going by the house. I don't know, on the highway. Maybe there's an accident on the interstate again where they're bypassing. Alright, we're just going to stamp this on our scrap of basic white. Oops, that's kind of dark. Well, let me try that again down here. Hoping I can fit that on there. Well, one's dark and one's light, but we're going to go with the light one. And then we're going to bring our baby boss over here, and we're going to die cut this out using this label from the Stitch So Sweetly dies. And get my plates over here. And this is Baby Boss. That's what I call her. And we've got plate number 1. And then we've got 2 cutting plates, which are number 2s. I'll place one down, and then we'll put our paper in there. And scooch that up a bit. And we're going to center our label on top. And I'm going to use a little bit of washi tape to hold it in place. bring our other plate in here. Oh, come on. There we go. I hope I'm not jiggling the camera too much. I'm not seeing any comments going on. I guess everybody's quiet. Okay, so here we have this. Let me get my die and put it in my magnetic case. Magnetic bowl. Don't need to lose anything. And we'll set Baby Boss back over here. And this is nice to have at your desk because it folds up. It doesn't take up much room. So here's our sentiment die cut. And we're going to place that up on dimensionals. I'm just going to put 2 on the back of it. 1 at each end will do. And then take your pick tool and pop those backings off our dimensionals. And we're just going to place that on our upper right side. And it looks pretty straight. And now I'm going to use the Gilded Gems and place those. I'm just going to put 1 at the very top of that. And then we're going to put 2 more down here at the bottom. Just to bling it up a little bit more. You can never have too much bling, is what I say. Alright. Okay, so here's the outside of our card. And now we need to do the inside, which I've got one of those strips of rich raspberry that I cut off our mat that we had too big. Maybe I did that on purpose. And we're going to place that at the bottom of our inside of our card. But first I'm going to stamp the sentiment to be sure I get that right. Okay, and it says, my thoughts are with you. Let me bring that scrap paper over here again. See what it looks like. That looks good. And we're just going to stamp that in the center of the inside of our card. Looking good, looking good. And put our lid back on our Memento Black. And now we're going to put glue on the bottom, or on the strip, and put it to our bottom of our card. So, it doesn't take much, just one line of going across it, because it's real narrow. I think this is probably like a 1/8 of an inch. So it'd be 1/8 of an inch by 4 inches. No, 4 1/4 inches, the width of the card. Okay. And then we'll turn that back over and we'll trim off the excess. Alright. I have to go on an errand after I finish my live here. I'm hoping the rain holds off until we get everything done. Okay, so here's the outside of the card. I know this is a difficult day. My thoughts are with you. So that's our second card. And we'll set all that aside. And we'll go on to... Oh, I forgot to tell you that the inside sentiment comes from the prize peony, which is in our big catalog also. I think that's on page 73 of our annual catalog. Alright. So I guess we're doing good today on time. I was thinking this was going to take a lot longer than it is. It helps when I have everything done ahead of time. So this one we have most everything done ahead of time, so it shouldn't take very long just to assemble it. Oh wow, what happened to my... There we go. My iPad had a weird thing on my screen. So here's the outside of the card. It's called Hello. And I thought this was a good fall card. Being the leaves are all turning colors now and leaves are falling everywhere. So it says, I thought of you today. So that's our card. Let me get all of our bits and pieces. And the stamp set I'm using is Love of Leaves. And this can be found on page 115 in our annual catalog. And this comes with the dies, or you can get it as a bundle with the dies, leaf dies. And here's the dies. It says Stitched Leaves. And I've got some of them out of here, so they're not all in the case. So a little room here. Okay, that's my instructions. I need them. Okay, so our card base is Cajun Craze. And that measure is just our standard basic card size, which is 8.5 by 5.5 inches, and then scored or folded in the middle at 4 1/4 inches. So we're going to go ahead and burnish that. And we'll set that aside for a moment. And then I have is Early Espresso, and I've already embossed it using the Timber 3D embossing folder. And this is what it looks like. I don't know if the camera picks it up very well, but I need my scrap paper over here because we're going to do some blending with our blending brush and Sahara Sand ink. So we're going to get some ink here. This is Sahara Sand. And I'm just going to add a little bit to our embossed layer. You always want to start off on the side of your paper onto scratch paper before you go on to your project. Otherwise you'll get blotchy places. I don't need a whole lot. I'm just going to put a little bit on there so it kind of makes our embossed areas pop a little bit. I think that's about right. So I'll close up our ink pad again. Alright, so we can go ahead and glue that to the front of our card using our liquid glue. Our Tombow glue. This is my favorite adhesive. I use it all the time. I use the seal once in a while, but I favor the liquid glue better. I don't know why. I guess because it gives me time to move things around if I need to. Okay. Right there and press down really good. When you got embossed papers, sometimes it takes a little more to get them to adhere to your paper. And I just rubbed ink all over my fingers off of there. Okay, so we're going to set that aside for a moment. And let me turn this off so I can get ink on my projects that I don't want. Okay, so I have used the Scalloped Contours dies to cut out our little framework here using the very vanilla cardstock. So I did that ahead of time. Let me get my dish over here so I don't lose them. And then I'm going to speckle this using our Stampin' Up markers. And this is the mossy metal that I'm using. And we're going to use the brush end, and we're going to do some flicking which is just giving us some spots on our paper here. And hopefully I don't get my shirt instead of the paper. Whoops, got a big gob right there. Touched it, didn't mean to do that. But it'll be okay. So do as much as you want or as little as you want. There's no set amount. Let me get my inky rag to wipe off some of that ink that got on the outside. Alright, and we'll get rid of our paper. Okay, so I'm getting distracted here. So I've already die cut the large leaf using the Cajun Craze cardstock. And I like these dies because it gives you the little cut edges. Plus it'll give you the indented, I don't know how to describe it, the embossed. So we're going to put that there. Put our dies over there so we don't lose it. And I've also cut out another leaf with the Evening Evergreen using this die here, which is this one. And another one we cut out of the crumb cake. And that's this one here. Okay. And now we're going to start attaching our leaves. And let's stamp our hello at the bottom first. We're going to be using our Evening Evergreen ink. And I'm going to test that to make sure it's good. We're just going to put that in the bottom right hand corner. So like this. And now we're going to start attaching our leaves. And go with our glue. Okay, so we're going to attach our largest leaf down first. And then our evergreen, Evening Evergreen leaf. Okay, and then we're going to put the little one onto a dimensional. And let me find my dimensionals here. I've got a little bit of a mess on my desk here, but I found it. Okay, Cookie's wound up out there, I apologize. And we're going to put that at an angle over the other ones, like this. Alright, and I didn't grab my ribbon, did I? Oh goodness, no, I gotta reach over here for my ribbon, I didn't have that out. We're using the open weave ribbon, and this is the Evening Evergreen. And we're just going to get our Scotch tape and we're going to attach that on the back side. And I just want to make sure I don't cover up my sentiment. So we're going to put that one there. I think I had more than enough tape there. And we're going to run that across. And get my snips, paper snips, and trim that off. And I think that's pretty straight. And then I'm going to come in and tie another faux bow. I feel like I'm doing this backwards for some reason. I'm all thumbs. Alright, that looks good. And we're just going to trim off our tails. And let me trim this one a little bit. Okay. And then we're going to attach that to the front of our card. And then I'm not going to put it on straight away. I'm going to put it at an angle a little bit. It gives it a little bit of character. Alright, I guess I'm going to put it at an angle. And it's not complete until we put some gems on there. And I don't think I took them out. Let's go ahead and do the inside of our card. And we've got some very vanilla cardstock also, which measures 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches. And I'm going to bring in our leaf stamp, our large leaf. And we're going to ink that up using our Evening Evergreen. I'm not sure if I want to stamp it off once. Yeah, I think I'm going to stamp it off once. Give it a little bit of a lighter. I'm just going to stamp that. Oops, I just stuck my fingers in the ink. At our upper portion. Let me get a bakery wipe here. We can't stamp without getting ink on our fingers. I think I stuck my fingers right in the ink pad. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I didn't want it real dark. And we're going to come in with our sentiment, which says, I thought of you today. And we're just going to stamp that right over. Yeah. So stamp that right over our leaf. Oh, my fingers just slipped. I hope I didn't cause no damage here. No. Looks okay. Close up our ink pad. So here we have our inside. Now let's go ahead and attach that to the inside of our card with some glue. And we'll put that in there. And line up our edges. Okay. And what gems do I want to use here? I didn't have those taken out. Let me look in the case what we have here. I'm going to use the Gilded Gems. Oops, no, not the Gilded Gems. I meant to say the 2021 to 2023 in color jewels, which are these. I'm going to be using the Evening Evergreen color. And we're just going to put 2 up in this one corner. And then I'm going to place the other one on top of our leaf, our smaller leaf, right in the center of that. Just add a little bling to it. Let me put my glue over here out of the way. Okay, Okay, so here's our third and final card. Hello, I thought of you today. So, I'm going to get all of our cards out here and we'll close for the day. Make sure I've got them all in view here. Okay, we've got a little glare on this one here, but kind of hold it up maybe a little bit. That foil really picks up the light. Okay, so there's our 3 cards for this morning. I'm glad that you're able to join me. Be sure that you come back next week again, which will be November 3rd already at 10 a.m. Central Time. Hoping that you can be there, and I'm not sure what I'm working on yet, but we do have a new stamp set coming out, so I may use that. It'll be kind of a surprise, so I hope you'll join in and find out what I'm talking about. Alright, so I'm going to let you all go, and you all have a great day. Stay safe and stay healthy, and be sure that you like and share the video for me. And we'll see you next week. Bye.